Let's be honest, home inspections can feel like a bit of a deal killer in today's market. But if you skip a home inspection, it could end up costing you big time. My buyers in Lancaster typically ask, do I really need a home inspection? Is it worth waiving in order to win that property? And my name is Albert and I'm a real estate agent in the Lancaster and York area. And in this video, we're going to be talking through the trials and tribulations of trying to get an offer accepted with a home inspection in 2025. In this video, we're going to be talking about the home inspection process, what to expect, major red flags that you may see when you're out having your home inspection, and how to write a strong competitive offer without sacrificing all of your security. Do we even need a home inspection? Well, the short answer is yes. End of video. See you next time. Thank you. Especially when we're in downtown Lancaster and there are lots of homes which are over 100 years old, it makes an awful lot of sense to get a home inspection. Typically, in these historic homes, you're going to find older foundations, potential moisture issues, especially in the basement area, radon, and sometimes unpermitted work on historic homes. How does a home inspection process work? Well, let's say you were able to get your offer accepted with a home inspection. Congratulations. Now, typically in Pennsylvania, you will have a 10-day period, although this can be extended, especially during busy months for home inspectors. Typically, we've been asking for 15 days on ours just to give the inspector enough time to get out there. You will want to schedule this as soon as you go under contract. It can take them a little bit of time to get out to the property. If you're able to, go to your home inspection with your inspector. We work a lot with a company called Home Check, and I really love the way that the inspectors over there explain various things with the home and explain things rather than just saying, oh, this is a big scary repair, when actually it may not even cost that much money to fit. So not all home inspectors are made equally. A home inspection is not an excuse to get out of a deal. A home inspection is for you to identify major items or potentially major items on a property that you clearly like because you've taken the time and effort to get pre-approved, write an offer and have it accepted, to come to agreeable terms with the seller to make sure you're not paying for a property that hasn't been looked after, or to reduce the purchase price sufficiently that you feel comfortable enough to buy it. Most home inspection reports will be done within 24 to 48 hours, and they can look scary, folks. Even a home inspection on a brand new construction property is going to be about 30 pages long, and it's going to have terminology such as functional and satisfactory. When you go to the inspection, I would also suggest bringing a notepad or asking if you can voice record the conversation, because it's going to be an awful lot of information to digest, especially if you're someone who's not necessarily familiar with the home buying process, or if you don't work in something like construction. What are they looking for in the home inspection? They can be looking anything from major structural items such as roof, HVAC, the foundation, all the way down to whether a GFI outlet is working in the kitchen. And you'll want to check the entire scope of your inspection before you purchase it. Sometimes they won't look at a garage if it's detached from the main property, or for properties that are over a certain size or have things like a swimming pool, you may have to purchase an additional type of inspection to get that covered as well. Now, when it comes to reading the home inspection report, like I say, focus on the big items. Think about it. If you are a seller and someone is trying to nickel and dime you over some scratches of paint or one or two outlets that may not be working, then, maybe it wasn't the right home for you anyway, because there's going to be a cost of ownership associated with purchasing a home. Now, if it's something major, like the roof is gone, or maybe a hot water heater isn't working, or the stove isn't working, then yes, I would say go and try and negotiate either getting a new one put in, a reduction in the price, or a credit towards one of those items so you can get it fixed after you've purchased the property. How can I stay competitive? Now, the issue we've been having is it's been a very hot market in York and Lancaster for the last couple of years. This means that for homes that have been in decent condition and competitively priced, they're getting multiple offers, and someone is probably waiving home inspections altogether. Now, sellers prefer to not have a home inspection because obviously it could highlight issues, and then if you decide to not purchase the property, they then have to disclose those issues to future buyers. Now, if you find a home that you love and there are competing offers and you want to remain competitive, what I would suggest is asking to do a home inspection but no single item repair that doesn't exceed $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, for example. What this means is you're focusing mainly on the big items. Really, it's going to be things like the roof, HVAC, water heater, and foundation. Of course, you want to make sure you're not going to have these big expenses immediately after you move in. And like I say, if you can get a credit towards covering those or even get them repaired, then happy days. But you don't want to nickel and dime the seller potentially over very small items, because they'll just move on to someone who doesn't have a home inspection. When should I add extra inspection? If a property has been on the market for a little while, you may be able to get other inspections as well. And it's been tricky enough just to get something with a home inspection accepted. However, you may want to ask for radon inspection, mold. If the home is pre-1978, you may want to look at getting a lead inspection. If you're doing a VA or PHFA type of financing, you will have to get a termite inspection before you can purchase the property anyway. And then how much does a home inspection cost? We find they tend to run between $350 and $700. Now, if you are getting multiple inspections, radon, mold, home inspection, potentially a septic system as well, you might end up spending around $1,000 to $1,500. But again, if you pay that and it's going to save you a brand new septic, which could run you anywhere near $25,000, then it is a worthwhile investment and you're better off moving on to the next property if it doesn't make sense. Once the home inspection has been done, if it looks all good, wonderful, you're moving on to the next part of the process. If, however, there are items that need fixing, let's say the HVAC's not working or there's a hole in the roof, this is where you would then go back to the seller and say, hey, I would like a credit of X amount of money to get these fixed, or I would like you to get these repairs done. On settlement day, you will do something called a final walkthrough. So again, just go in and verify that any repairs based on the inspection were done. Also check that the appropriate appliances have been left. And if you've negotiated for additional items to stay, make sure they are also in place. In summary, a home inspection is a really important part of the process. You're going to have 10 to 15 days typically to get your inspector in there and focus on the main big items. Regardless of the home, they're all going to have some small thing that needs doing. You are just trying to protect yourself from those major ticket items. You can also get yourself something called a home warranty. These again run about $400 to $600, and these could help cover some of the costs on the repair of major mechanicals like HVAC, appliances, water heater, etc. If you're in a multiple offer situation, think about potentially doing a no single repair or be willing to pay for the first X amount of dollars on a repair. This is going to help keep you competitive in a market that has been not the most favorable towards buyers in the last few years. If you're looking at purchasing a property in Lancaster or York, Pennsylvania, please drop me a comment below or reach out and schedule a time for a client call on my website. And remember, a good home inspector and inspection gives you peace of mind when purchasing your home. It is typically only valid for the day of the inspection, and things can happen in a short period after you purchase a property, even if you get one. Now, you don't have to waive your rights to win the house, but you may have to get a little bit creative when creating that offer.